Hidden beneath the dense jungles of ancient Mesoamerica lies the legacy of a civilization so mysterious, it's often called the mother culture of the Americas. The Olmec, creators of towering stone heads and intricate rituals, sparked the flame that would ignite the rise of later empires like the Maya and Aztec. But who were they, and what secrets do their colossal monuments still hold? Join us on a journey to uncover the enigma of the Olmec, the forgotten founders of Mesoamerican civilization. Long before the rise of the Maya pyramids and the Aztec temples, a civilization flourished along the Gulf Coast of present-day Mexico, leaving behind monuments of astonishing scale and mystery. The Olmec, often called the mother culture of Mesoamerica, emerged over 3,000 years ago and set in motion many of the cultural, artistic, and religious traditions that would shape the ancient Americas. Among their most iconic legacies are the colossal stone heads, carved with intricate detail and weighing several tons, whose silent expressions continue to intrigue archaeologists and historians to this day. Yet despite their profound influence, the Olmec remain shrouded in mystery. Their language, political system, and many aspects of their culture are only partially understood, pieced together through archaeology and comparative studies. What is certain, however, is that the Olmec laid the foundation for many of the region's greatest civilizations. From religious practices and art styles to writing systems and calendrical innovations, the echoes of Olmec culture reverberate through time. This documentary embarks on a journey into the heart of the Olmec world. It explores their geographical homeland and environmental advantages, the structure of their society and belief systems, their magnificent art and architecture, and the scientific innovations that define daily life. We will also trace their enduring legacy, reflected in the traditions of the Maya, Zapotec, and Aztec civilizations that followed. Though many questions remain, one truth is clear. The Olmec were not a mere stepping stone, but a sophisticated and innovative culture whose genius shaped the course of Mesoamerican history. As we delve into their story, we uncover not just a civilization, but the very roots of an entire cultural world. The Olmec civilization took root in the fertile lowlands of the Gulf Coast of southern Mexico, primarily in what are today the modern states of Veracruz and Tabasco. This lush region, crisscrossed by winding rivers and rich in natural resources, provided an ideal environment for the birth of a complex society. Here, amid the tropical rainforests and swampy plains, the Olmec developed one of the earliest great cultures of the Americas. 4 major archaeological sites define the heartland of the Olmec world: San Lorenzo, La Venta, Tres Zapotes, and Laguna de los Cerros. Each of these centers played a significant role in different phases of Olmec development, showcasing impressive urban planning, monumental architecture, and elite residences. The earliest known Olmec center, San Lorenzo, rose to prominence around 1600 BCE, making it one of the oldest urban settlements in Mesoamerica. It remained dominant until about 900 BCE, when it was mysteriously abandoned or possibly destroyed. The cultural and political spotlight then shifted to La Venta, which flourished from roughly 900 to 400 BCE and became the spiritual and ceremonial heart of the Olmec world. Tres Zapotes and Laguna de los Cerros continued the Olmec tradition into the late period, though their influence waned as other civilizations began to rise. The environment played a crucial role in Olmec's success. The Gulf Coast's rich alluvial soils supported intensive agriculture, while the rivers, like the Coatzacoalcos and Tonalá, enabled efficient transport and trade. The humid, tropical climate was favorable for year-round farming, with crops like maize, beans, squash, and cacao forming the agricultural backbone of Olmec life. These geographic advantages enabled the Olmec to develop surplus food, support large populations, and sustain the growth of ceremonial centers. In time, this foundation allowed them to explore the realms of religion, science, art, and governance, leaving an indelible mark on Mesoamerican history. Despite the mystery surrounding the Olmec, archaeological evidence paints a vivid picture of a society with a clearly defined social and political structure. At the apex of this system likely stood powerful rulers, part monarch, part priest, who governed through a blend of political authority and spiritual legitimacy. This theocratic monarchy placed divine kingship at the center of Olmec life, with rulers believed to possess supernatural abilities or divine ancestry. The existence of monumental architecture and massive stone sculptures, such as the colossal heads, suggests a hierarchical society capable of organizing large-scale labor forces. These heads, some weighing over 20 tons, were carved from volcanic basalt transported over great distances, likely requiring hundreds of workers and centralized coordination. The effort required for such undertakings points to a sophisticated governance structure with an elite class directing the efforts of artisans, engineers, and laborers. This elite class, comprised of rulers, priests, and possibly warriors, likely resided in the ceremonial and residential centers of cities like San Lorenzo and La Venta. Surrounding these urban cores, commoners, mainly farmers, fishermen, and craftsmen, lived in more modest dwellings and supported the society through their labor and tribute. Evidence of urban planning, including raised platforms, plazas, and drainage systems, reflects an organized and intentional approach to city building. These features served not only practical purposes, but also religious and political ones, reinforcing the power of the ruling class and the sacred nature of their centers. The Olmec appear to have had a stratified society, where social mobility was limited and one's role was likely inherited. However, artisans and religious specialists may have held a privileged position within the broader population due to their association with sacred knowledge or skilled labor. In sum, the Olmec political and social system was both complex and centralized, enabling the civilization to flourish for over 1,000 years. Their societal model, blending divine authority with structured governance, set the tone for many subsequent Mesoamerican cultures, who would adopt similar hierarchies in their own cities and kingdoms. At the core of Olmec civilization was a vibrant and complex polytheistic religion, deeply rooted in the natural world and its many animal spirits. Among these, the jaguar reigned supreme. This majestic predator, simultaneously feared and revered, appears across Olmec iconography in a variety of forms, sometimes as a pure beast, at other times as a hybrid creature blending human and jaguar traits. The prevalence of were-jaguar imagery suggests the existence of powerful myths centered on transformation and the belief that rulers or shamans could take on animalistic forms through ritual or divine intervention. Shamanism played a vital role in Olmec's spiritual life. Shamans, religious specialists believed to have the power to traverse between the physical and spiritual worlds, likely mediated between the people and the gods. These figures would have performed rituals, healing ceremonies, and trance-inducing practices aimed at communicating with ancestors or deities. Transformation myths, where humans metamorphosed into powerful animals or divine beings, were central to these practices and are preserved in the artwork and carvings left behind. Human sacrifice and ritual bloodletting were also part of Olmec religious observance, setting a precedent for similar rites among later Mesoamerican societies. These acts were believed to nourish the gods, maintain cosmic balance, and ensure agricultural fertility. Although less abundant than in Maya or Aztec records, evidence of bloodletting tools and symbolic art implies these practices were integral to Olmec ritual life. The Mesoamerican ball game, a sacred sport with ritual connotations, also traces its roots to the Olmec. Though the exact rules remain unclear, archaeological findings, such as rubber balls and ball courts, indicate that this game held significant religious meaning. It may have represented cosmic dualities such as life and death, or served as a reenactment of mythological battles between gods. The Olmec's religious beliefs, focused on natural cycles, divine rulers, and the interaction between worlds, profoundly influenced later civilizations like the Maya and Aztec. Themes of sacrifice, transformation, and divine kingship that appear in Olmec art and mythology would echo across Mesoamerica for centuries to come. The Olmec are perhaps most famously remembered for their colossal stone heads, a series of 17 massive sculptures, some reaching over 3 meters in height and weighing as much as 40 tons. These heads, carved from basalt transported from distant mountains, depict individualized facial features, suggesting they may represent rulers or important figures. Their sheer size and effort required for creation speak to the Olmec's advanced engineering skills and the central role these sculptures played in ritual and political life. But the Olmec's artistic expression extended far beyond stone heads. They worked with a variety of materials, including basalt, jade, serpentine, and ceramics, crafting intricate figurines, masks, and relief carvings. Jade, a material of great spiritual and economic value, was often used to produce amulets and ceremonial objects, frequently portraying deities or hybrid creatures like were-jaguars or infantile human-animal figures, symbolic of fertility and transformation. Olmec architecture was equally impressive. Early forms of pyramid-like structures and platform mounds formed the core of ceremonial centers such as La Venta. These complexes were often aligned with celestial bodies, reflecting the society's attention to astronomy and sacred space. Massive altars, thrones, and stelae were also prominent features, often decorated with symbolic motifs and religious iconography. The Olmec visual language is rich in motifs and symbols. Common themes include supernatural creatures, maze deities, and stylized human faces. The infantile face motif, with downturned mouths and almond-shaped eyes, appears frequently and may symbolize rebirth, fertility, or divine ancestry. One of the most intriguing aspects of Olmec culture is the early evidence of writing. The Cascajal Block, discovered in Veracruz, contains a series of glyphs that some scholars believe may represent the earliest known form of writing in the Americas. Though not fully deciphered, it hints at a complex system of communication that predated the Maya script by centuries. Together, Olmec art and architecture formed a powerful visual narrative that communicated religious beliefs, social hierarchy, and cosmic order, laying the foundation for Mesoamerican artistic and symbolic traditions. While renowned for their religious and artistic achievements, the Olmec also made impressive strides in science, innovation, and daily living. One of their most enduring contributions was to Mesoamerican calendrical systems. Though not fully developed during their time, the Olmec are believed to have influenced the creation of the long count calendar, later perfected by the Maya. Their astronomical observations and alignment of ceremonial structures suggest an advanced understanding of celestial cycles. The Olmec also pioneered the use of rubber, a revolutionary material in ancient times. By combining latex from rubber trees with the juice of local morning glory vines, they created a durable, bouncy material used in making balls for their sacred games, waterproofing, and possibly even clothing or footwear. Mesoamerica, in fact, is the birthplace of rubber technology, an innovation that remained unique to the Americas until modern chemistry. A complex trade network supported the Olmec economy. Despite lacking wheeled transport or draft animals, they moved materials like jade, obsidian, ceramics, iron ore, and basalt over considerable distances, often by river. These networks not only provided essential materials, but also facilitated cultural exchange with neighboring regions. In daily life, most Olmec people were farmers, growing staples such as maize, beans, squash, and cacao. They likely lived in small villages or rural dwellings made from wood and thatch, located near larger ceremonial centers. Food preparation involved grinding maize into dough for tortillas and tamales. Clothing was probably made from woven fibers or bark, and body adornment, including ear spools, pendants, and tattoos, was common. Despite the mystery surrounding their written records, the evidence paints a vivid portrait of a people who were not only spiritual and artistic, but also practical, resourceful, and deeply attuned to their environment. The story of the Olmec does not end with conquest or dramatic collapse, but rather a gradual fading of their great cities and influence. By around 900 BCE, the city of San Lorenzo, one of the earliest and most important Olmec centers, began to decline. The reasons remain a subject of scholarly debate, but many historians point to environmental degradation, such as overexploitation of local resources and soil depletion, as likely factors. The shift of political and religious power soon moved to La Venta, which rose as a new cultural and ceremonial hub. La Venta, in turn, began to decline around 400 BCE, marking the end of the classic Olmec period. Shifting trade routes, internal political instability, and possible climatic changes may have played a role in the fragmentation of their civilization. Unlike later Mesoamerican collapses, the Olmec decline seems to have been less violent and more dispersed, with their people likely assimilating into surrounding cultures rather than disappearing altogether. Despite the end of their urban centers, the Olmec legacy lived on powerfully in successor civilizations. The Maya inherited and expanded on Olmec religious practices, symbolic motifs, and early calendrical systems. The Zapotec adopted elements of Olmec iconography and political organization, while the Aztec revered the Olmec as legendary ancestors and credited them with inventing writing, timekeeping, and sacred rituals. Still, many mysteries remain. The Cascajal Block hints at a complex writing system, but we have yet to fully decipher it. The precise nature of Olmec political structures, their mythological canon, and the causes of their decline are still debated. Their colossal heads, so lifelike and unique, continue to baffle historians with questions. Who were these individuals? How were the stones moved? What messages were they meant to convey? Far from being forgotten, the Olmec continue to inspire. Their spiritual, artistic, and technological influence radiates through the annals of Mesoamerican history, standing as a testament to one of the most enigmatic and influential civilizations the ancient world ever knew. More than 3 millennia ago, in the lush lowlands of what is now southern Mexico, a civilization emerged that would come to shape the destiny of an entire region. The Olmec, often dubbed the mother culture of Mesoamerica, laid the spiritual and artistic groundwork for civilizations that followed. Through their colossal sculptures, mysterious glyphs, and sacred rituals, they forged a culture that was both sophisticated and deeply connected to the natural and supernatural worlds. This documentary has traced their story from the fertile banks of the Gulf Coast, through their theocratic cities, religious beliefs, artistic brilliance, and scientific ingenuity, to their eventual decline and lasting influence. From the sacred ball game to the symbolism of the jaguar, from the early use of calendars to the movement of jade and obsidian along vast trade routes, the Olmec left a blueprint that would echo through the Maya temples, the Zapotec palaces, and the Aztec pyramids. Yet for all their achievements, the Olmec remained shrouded in mystery. Unlike the Maya, they left no monumental texts, no long chronicles carved into stone. What we know comes from fragments, symbols, and monuments, interpreted through the lenses of archaeology, art history, and comparative mythology. This paradox, of an advanced, highly organized culture about which we still know so little, adds to their enduring allure. Their legacy lives on, not just in museum exhibits or archaeological journals, but in the cultural DNA of Central America. The symbols they carved, the myths they dreamed, the gods they worshipped, all were passed down, adapted, and reimagined by generations of civilizations that followed. And so, in the shadow of their massive stone heads and beneath the dense canopy of Mesoamerican jungles, the Olmec still whisper. They whisper of gods and kings, of shamans and jaguars, of a time when the world was young and full of spirit. Their ancient secrets, half buried in soil and myth, challenge us to look deeper, to understand more not only about them, but about ourselves and the origins of civilization in the Americas.